And one of the things that I've seen you talk about is the 5 pillars. So
Mm.
physical health, emotional health, mental health, financial health, and social health. So I was just wondering if we could kind of go through these one by one and just if you can expound on them and maybe, explain them a bit more and how to identify, I guess, the good things and the maybe things we can work on in our own life. Because I think often it's hard to identify. It's easy. It's the classic things, it's easy to look at other people or friends and kind of say, well, maybe this is an area you can work on with love, but when we either look at ourselves, we're our harshest critics, or we're
Mm.
just completely blind to
Mm.
perhaps the areas we need
You
to.
don't want to hear it. You're not ready. Yeah.
Exactly. There's rarely something in between. So maybe you could just break those down and start off with
Yeah. So a bit of background on that is I am the director of Get It Done. So I'm a business partner with my brother Bradley, who is a fitness professional, and I wanted to build the brand out a bit more and incorporate more mindset and wellness as a whole rather than just exercise and food. And that's something he's really passionate about as well. So we created the 5 pillars. A lot of businesses do have their pillars of health, and ours is slightly different because we've got the financial health in there and the emotional health, and that's not something you often see. But obviously, the physical health is the exercise, the nutrition, but also sleep. Then you've got your social health, which is who are you around? What's your environment like? That could be from relationship to family to work environment to the mums at school or friends. And how is that impacting you? Because it can have a huge impact. Emotional health is how are you reacting to situations? So mental health and emotional health can kind of overlap a little bit. People aren't sure of the differences, but emotional health is more about your reaction and how are you managing your emotions, whereas the mental health is obviously your anxiety and your feelings of sadness or that sort of thing. Emotional health is really interesting. Like when you're in the car, have you got road rage? Are you snappy? Are things bothering you more than they should? Um, how's your resilience levels and things like that. I think personally, we can be sometimes too soft or we can be too hard, and it's finding that balance in the middle. Not to be sensitive to everything and everything you see online, and taking everything personally. I think you've got to have a bit of resilience there, and it's important to have a thick skin at times, but then also not lacking empathy and understanding and not being open-minded is not great either. So it's finding that balance. And then you've got the financial health, which I haven't seen anyone cover, from especially not a wellness app. And this was really important to us for multiple reasons. One being that suicide in young men and men in general is extremely high, and a lot of it can be down to financial pressure and this feeling of not earning enough, not being enough amongst that sort of male egotistic sort of environment, which can be really hard. And that was something Bradley was really passionate about. They talk a lot about like the 1% of men and all of this sort of stuff. And so we wanted to cover financial health for that reason, but also because we're living in a world where everything is going up. The cost of living is crazy, especially at the moment. It's just gone wild. I mean, our mortgage went up by £700, plus we had to send our son to childcare. It's like how are people coping and surviving? And I think not a lot of people are talking about it enough. Social media makes everyone's lives look like they're on holiday all the time or they're brunching all the time and they've got all these new outfits all the time. And what's the actual reality of it all? I think obviously gender roles and relationships have changed. You've got the traditional gender roles, but now even if you want to be a traditional couple, which is absolutely fine if that works for you, where the man provides and the woman is the homemaker and the nurturer, which is equally as important, if not more. But they can't afford to, even if your partner is on a really good salary, because the cost of living has gone crazy. So it's about how are you navigating that? How does a mother feel having to put her child in childcare when she never wanted that? That then links back to the mental health. So by creating the 5 pillars, it allows people to go, I'm feeling it a certain way. Maybe it's low or down or frustrated. I don't know why. Okay, let's look at your 5 pillars. Look at each pillar, rate them out of 10 if you have to, just to really understand and delve into each pillar and see how one is impacting the other. Their financial health might be so low, is then impacting their mental health, which then is impacting their physical health, and all of them interconnect. And that's why it's so important. And that's why we're so passionate about it and passionate about the financial side of things, because when you've got financial pressure of paying bills, you might be in debt or anything, anything can happen. You might, crash a car and then all of a sudden you've got no car and it's going to cost a fortune, but you're already worrying about the mortgage. This happens to people every single day, and it's not spoken about enough. I think there's a pride and like people are a bit ashamed or embarrassed or feeling shy about talking about money. But I always have the conversation with friends. I do. I'm just honest. I'm like, Ricky's got a stag do, and I've got a hen do, and we've got a wedding, and it's all abroad, so we haven't got a budget for a family holiday this year. Some people would feel so embarrassed and ashamed to say that. My partner probably would hate that I've even said it online on a podcast, but it's life. It's expensive, and I'm not afraid to say that. I'm paying for a mortgage and all these things. We've both got a car each because we have to. So, something has to give, rather than putting myself in debt and showing up on social media as if I'm absolutely minted and got no problems. So, yeah, essentially, I got really passionate then. But essentially, the 5 pillars were a way of people being able to, at home, if they don't have a coach or they don't have access to a therapist or a coach like Bradley or a coach like myself, they can sit down and go, right, here are the 5 pillars. How am I? Right. Okay. So actually, my physical health is the lowest. So the first thing I'm going to work on is that pillar. My other pillars are okay. So that's where I'm going to start. Or it might be your financial health is the thing that's really bad. Okay. So that is going to start having an effect on all my other pillars. That's what I'm going to focus on. Or maybe you're in a toxic work environment. Then on the weekends, you're going out with friends, getting drunk and drinking your sorrows away. They don't really care about you. The friendships are based on drink, because they wouldn't dare go for a hike with you or a bike ride or just a stroll with a cup of tea. So actually then you're feeling actually low at work, low on the weekends. So then you've got no motivation for the other aspects of your life and your other pillars. And this can happen, and it's a really good way of being self-aware and analysing what's going on in your life and then taking action according to that. Because what we can also be doing is going on social media, following our favourite influencers and healthcare professionals and going, she does that, she takes that supplement, she does that on the weekends, I'm just going to copy her. But she's not you.
Yeah.
You need to sit down with yourself, you need to look at your pillars, and you need to go, actually, what do I need? And what's going to work for me? And yeah, it might be that you need to look at moving jobs. You might need to do that. It might be something which might sound like a really big jump. Or maybe you have that first conversation in the workplace with HR. I don't know. But get the ball rolling. But the first step is to look at your 5 pillars and use that as a guide for where you're at with your overall well-being.